Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Lewiston City Council meeting of Monday, April 27, 2015. We'll call this meeting to order. Our first item of business is the Pledge of Allegiance. Please join Mayor Pro Tem Johnson in saying the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Next item of business is citizen comments. This is an opportunity for citizens to address the council on agenda items or other items they wish to bring to the attention of the council. Citizens are encouraged to discuss operational issues in advance with the city manager. In consideration of others wishing to speak, please limit your remarks to 3 minutes. Do we have any citizen comments this evening?
I would like to testify about the fire pits. Can I wait?
No, right now.
No, this will be the time. This is the second reading, too.
Yeah.
Hello. My name's Jacqueline Forsman. I did,
Address.
pardon?
Address?
Oh, 421 7th Avenue.
Thank you.
So I didn't do my homework. I don't know what was discussed the first meeting about fire pits, and I really don't know the definition of what your definition will be of a fire pit. But as far as Normal Hill goes, I'm sorry, I just wish we wouldn't do it. I can't imagine how it would be safe. If the definition of the fire pit was that it was store-bought and had a little lid that went on it or something, so that when you went in the house, it wouldn't throw embers and sparks around. I could see it almost, but it just baffles me. Also, I think the main season that you would want to have your fire pit would be the worst possible time of year to have one. In other words, in the summertime, you would want to go out in your backyard and have a fire pit. They don't even allow them on the beach up the Snake River. You have to use briquettes that time of year. So I also hope if you put it through that there would be a particular season that you couldn't have them. But we are so cheek by jowl here on Normal Hill. It scares me in the summer without fire pits to think of what would happen if one of the residences caught fire. I don't know how our fire department could contain it if it really got going. And then, of course, there's the other issue of air quality. All winter long, people do burn. And if you have a neighbor that burns wood, they don't always burn nice wood that's cured correctly. So that many mornings, I wake up with asthma, and it is really from the neighbors burning. So now it's going to be in the summer too. I can't picture it. I may already be voted down on this, but I understand the allure of it. It's a neat thing to see the fire dance around, but that's why you go camping. Anyway, I'd like you just to consider, I don't know if you could do one part of the city and not the other, but I really think Normal Hill is a special, it's different from the orchards. It's different from other parts of town in that we are so close together. These buildings are 100 years old, and people do tend to collect brush and things they can't throw out around their house. And it really wouldn't take much. So anyway, I hope you'll consider my testimony. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have that, is that up on the website right now? Our proposed ordinance 4628?
Yes, it is.
Okay. Yeah, ma'am, if you can access the city website, the proposed changes from what we currently have is on the website, and it's ordinance 4628. Thank you. Any other citizen comments? Okay, seeing none, we'll move on to presentations of public hearings. We have Visit Lewis Clark Valley presentation by Michelle Peters. Michelle?
Good evening. I'm Michelle Peters with the Visit Lewis Clark Valley, formerly the Hells Canyon Visitor Bureau. And I'm here this evening. We would like to increase our request for funding out of the Economic Development Funds to $25,000 this year. And we want to tell you why and some of the proven return on investments with the Visitor Bureau and how those tourism tax dollars really do help here in the community. We have a tourism strategic plan that's based on our strong collaborative approach with our stakeholders here in the community. We have a comprehensive marketing plan that targets publications and broadcast media whose demographics that closely matches ours. And with our name change to Visit Lewis Clark Valley, a lot of our marketing and branding has changed, recognizing the history and culture in the area and award-winning wineries. And then, of course, with the featured highlight of Hells Canyon Jet Boat Tours. Formerly, when our name was Hells Canyon Visitor Bureau, they were not quite certain what our function was, which it is, marketing the entire Lewis Clark Valley, all the activities and events. And we just have a new partnership now. We're partnering with Lewis Clark State College Center for Arts and History, and we have a visitor information center located right on the main floor in the gallery. So that is open now Monday through Saturday, which helps service the cruise boat passengers that are here Sunday and Mondays. So we have a volunteer staff that is there now helping out. And then some of the economic impacts in the community. Last year, Nez Perce County generated $11.5 million in lodging revenues. That's $200,000 in local lodging tax and $750,000 in local taxes. And that increased by 7.5% over 2013. So that's quite significant for 1 year increases in the lodging sales. And then the leisure and hospitality sector in Nez Perce County had 2,170 jobs in 2014. That's 10.5% of the jobs here in the county. It had a payroll of $43 million, which is up 2011. It was at 23 million. And then also that's making up 5.5% of the total payroll in Nez Perce County. And altogether, there are 119 leisure and hospitality establishments in Nez Perce County. And then I also wanted to note some of our increases. We have a monthly e-newsletter that we send out to anybody who's inquired from advertising or on our website. And it's now over 11,000 that we market to. That increased 4,828 last year. And then according to the Destination Marketing Association International, 1 in 7 website visits equates to 1 room night here in our community. So we had over 90,000 visits to our website. That would equate to 12,800 room nights generated here in the LC Valley by impressions from our website. And then according to the Dean Runyon and Associates Travel Impact Reports, average party size traveling here to the LC Valley is 2.5. I don't know how they cut that person in half, but that's how they figure them out. So that would generate 32,000 visitors total last year, influenced by our marketing. So those are some of the hard numbers to ask why we want the increase for the spending. And then we also need the cash match for our Idaho Travel Council grant. And now I'm going to show you this quick PowerPoint presentation. We go out to the community, to different Rotary groups, chamber, to try to encourage everybody in this community to bring their meetings and conventions home to the Lewis Clark Valley for more economic impact. So this just kind of shows them why they should get on board with us. So some of the figures I went through already, so I'll skip over some of those. Visit Lewis Clark Valley. We're here to expanding community prosperity through tourism. And then the tourism economic impacts in our community. In 2013, it was destination spending of $30 million, We just got the 2014 figures. It's up to 32 million. Accommodations at 4.9. Food service, 10.4. Food stores at 3.5 million. Local transportation and fuel at 3.7. Arts, entertainment, recreation at 3.9. And retail sales at 4.6. And I've always wondered how they got the codes to break them down. And they get them from the NACE codes from the state offices of whatever retail sector you may or may not be influenced by tourism in that. And then tourism dollars, how they're spent in our community. They help maintain our parks, keep our streets safe and clean, and increase the ability to host cultural events and community activities. A healthy tourism industry benefits local businesses by recruiting and retaining high-performing employees. And this is how I ask them to bring their meetings, conventions, and reunions and other visitors to town to stimulate our economy and approach their employees, association, family groups, church groups, anybody. And then 52% of leisure travelers and 41% of business travelers said family and friends is their source of information for traveling. In the Lewis-Clark Valley, our travelers, 60% at the hotels, Lewiston and Clarkston, are corporate business travelers, and then it's 40% leisure travel. And then our mission statement, visit Lewis-Clark Valley and its partners strive to attract visitors from around the world to experience the Lewis-Clark Valley to support a positive economic impact. And here's some of the services that we provide that a lot of you may not know. We'll help assist and support for convention bids. Recently, we helped out with the Democratic bid for their fall meeting here, and they got that one. And pre and post conference tours will help facilitate that with the convention planners. Welcome bags for convention groups and conferences. And this year, so far already, we've already created 1,200, and we're only just right out of the first quarter. And we just did deliver some for the fire chief today. So, and then we have visitor information, regional visitor information and maps. So if you guys are going somewhere too out of the area, even Spokane, stop in and get a guide and a map. We have those there too. And then our visitor information centers, we still have one at the Lewis-Clark Valley Chamber of Commerce and our office. And then, as I mentioned, Center for Arts and History is our newest one on 5th Street with some very nice professional signage to go along with it. And then we do want to ask for another sign, the blue sign that says Visitor Information Center on 5th Street, pointing towards that. But that'll be another day, another department meeting. And then the cruise boat passengers this year, expecting 15,000. Here's the cruise lines that we have with the count of passengers on each one. American Empress is here Sunday, Mondays. And that is the one that is now shopping downtown 5th Street corridor. They're here today. As you see the buses going around in different stops throughout the city. And this is really exciting because it's the first time in all these years one of the cruise boat passengers is shopping in downtown Lewiston. So it's pretty exciting. And it's the largest vessel. And then the Queen of the West, that's also another paddle wheeler, 120 passengers, a National Geographic Sea Lion and Seabird, and then the SS Legacy. And then a Stoughton County payroll. And then I went over the Nez Perce County and the increase. In 2011, it was 32 million. Now in 2014, it was up to 43 million. And these numbers are from Catherine Tackey, the regional economic for Idaho Department of Labor. And then the direct travel spending throughout the years. We did see a little bit of the dips through the recession times, but continued to go back up again. Then lodging tax revenues in City of Clarkson and Stoughton County, around 200,000 because they're 4%. Nez Perce County, they're over 200,000, but they're at 2%. And of course, there's more inventory in Lewiston. I find this really fascinating. Out of the visitors that toured Hell's Canyon last year, look at all of the other countries that are listed in there. Every passenger that tours the canyon has to sign in a registration at the Cache Creek area. So we get to do our marketing research. We have all this information available to us where they're coming from. But I thought it was fun to note all the different countries. And then a lot of our awards that we've received throughout the years, ranked number 1 in outdoor life. Pet-friendly city, Hell's Gate State Park, one of the best campgrounds in the West by Sunset Magazine. Clearwater Snake Rivers, the top 30 best fishing vacations. And then, of course, Hell's Canyon being the deepest gorge in North America, deeper than the Grand Canyon, even 2,000 feet deeper. And then, of course, our flights that you all know of from the regional airport. Secure place to live in America by Farmers Insurance. One of the best waterfront towns to live in by National Geographic. And that's why you should get on board with the Lewis Clark Valley. So that's my presentation today. Does anybody have any questions?
Any questions?
One quick one. What would your request be used for?
It would be used for cash match to the Idaho Travel Council grant and tourism marketing exclusively.
Other questions?
To generate more funds.
Thank you, Michelle. Okay. Before we move on to the consent agenda, I apologize. We had an extra item added onto our active agenda, and I entertain a motion to add that item C to our active agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Is there discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carries 7-0. Under the consent agenda, is there anything we wish to remove from consent and put on active?
Yes, I'd like item F put onto the active agenda, please.
Okay, item F will become active agenda item D. That's resolution 2015-30. Anything else? Okay, I'll entertain a motion to read the consent agenda as amended.
So move.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? That motion carries 7-0.
Approving the minutes of the April 6, 2015 work session and the April 13, 2015 regular meeting. Accepting the minutes of the April 1, 2015 Transportation Advisory Commission. Accepting the bid award for 2015 street preservation slurry seal from Black Line Incorporated of Vancouver, Washington in the amount of $116,078.84. Accepting the bid proposal for 2015 street preservation seal coat from Poe Asphalt of Clarkston, Washington in the amount of $454,333.25. Approving Resolution 2015-27 by title only, a resolution implementing the decision of the City Council of the City of Lewiston, Idaho in VA 01-2013, vacating the right-of-way of 5th Avenue between 6th and 7th Streets and providing an effective date. And approving the vouchers payable dated March 27, 2015 through April 9, 2015 in the amount of $1,356,803.61.
Okay, councilors, the consent agenda has been read. I'll entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda as read.
So move. Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Is there discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? That motion carries 7-0. Okay, moving on to the active agenda. Item A, second reading of ordinance 4628. I entertain a motion to read ordinance 4628 for the second time. By title only, suspending the rules.
So moved. Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries 7-0.
Approving the second reading of ordinance 4628 by title only, An ordinance of the City of Lewiston amending Chapter 4 of the Lewiston City Code entitled Air Pollution, Sections 4.1, 4.3, 4.4, and 4-11, providing for certain open and outside burning within the city limits, providing responsibility for air quality alerts, prohibiting certain open burning, providing for definitions, and providing an effective date.
Okay, thank you, Carrie. Next up is ordinance 4629 for the second reading. We'll entertain a motion to read ordinance 4629 for the second time. By title only, suspending the rules.
Moved. Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Is there discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries 7-0.
Reading of ordinance 4629 by title only. An ordinance implementing the City Council's decision in ZNC 14-000001, declaring that certain real property be removed from the medium-density residential zone, R3, and included in the general commercial zone, C4, amending the official zoning map of the City of Lewiston and providing an effective date.
Okay. Thank you, Carrie. Item C, ratification of police chief selection. Mr. Bennett.
Thank you, Mayor and members of the council. Obviously, we all know that we've been going through a police chief recruitment process for about the last 2 to 3 months. Last week, we held interviews here in Lewiston, and we had 4 candidates who were the finalists for that position. Christopher Ankeny of Las Vegas, Nevada, Nate Harder of Breckenridge, Minnesota, Roger Lanier of the Lewiston Police Department, and Jack Rickards of the Weber State Criminal Justice Program in Salt Lake, outside of Salt Lake City. We had 2 panels that consisted of local law enforcement officials, including Sheriff Rodriguez and Chief Hastings from Asotin, and we had a number of members of the Lewiston Police Department, myself, department heads, human resources, who interviewed all of the candidates. Following the interviews, and I did a background investigation on my choice for police chief, and in accordance with that, I ask for your ratification tonight, as required under City Code, to appoint Christopher Ankeny of Las Vegas, Nevada, as Lewiston's next police chief.
Okay. I'd entertain a motion to approve Christopher Ankeny for police chief.
So moved.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Is there a discussion? Councilor Daniel.
Excuse me. What's the salary?
The salary is step 7 of the police chief range. I can't remember the range, and it is $99,827.
Other questions? I just have a comment I'd like to make. Roger, I appreciate your assistance and your leadership during our transition period, and we'll still see you around. Thank you. Okay, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries 7-0. Next up on the agenda will be Resolution 2015-30. I'll entertain a motion to approve Resolution 2015-30.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, motions are made and seconded. Is there a discussion?
Yes.
Counselor Blakey.
When that was first brought to our attention back in, I believe it was May, I believe it was June or May. And at that point in time, if I remember right, we did not vote in favor of it at that time. But there was clarification shortly thereafter, and in the July meeting, there was a vote. I was absent during that meeting, and that's not the reason I'm bringing it to the attention here, but in that very first meeting, I still brought up a comment, and I think it's a comment that needs to be brought forward again. I'm fearful of vacation of Warner Avenue, even though I know there's a gully there that rivals Hell's Canyon for depth. I'm concerned about the vacation of Warner Avenue from 16th over into the Canyon Crest development. As that development grows, and it's going to get bigger, there's going to be additional home sites added, and there's going to be more additional home sites added later. There's really only one good access point into that development. The other access point, which goes down to Lindsay Creek, won't be paved or won't be paved until the last, say, 40 lots or so. I believe that's the agreement. I may be off. So, and that's going to be several years, if not many years, down the road. And so what we have is a potential bottleneck of a large community exiting and entering one street onto Grell, forcing all that traffic into one direction. At this point in time, I do understand there's not money to develop Warner out into that subdivision, but let me say this right, where there's a way, there's a will. And who's to say at some point in time, the money doesn't become available either from the private developer or other sources to punch that road all the way into that subdivision, relieving the traffic and creating what I think a better flow, and also for safety reasons too. I'm not comfortable with a community being developed really with just one safe access point. I think we need to be considering, so I want to leave options open, and at this point in time, not to abandon them right away. Those are my thoughts.
Okay. Other discussion? Mr. Hayhurst? Can you give us a brief recap?
Mayor, Councilman, Councilman Blakey, one thing I think to keep in mind on this is that Warner Avenue there was created by that original plat as a 30-foot right-of-way, and so only half of that was created and platted in the first place. Now, if you continue through with this resolution and vacate that 30 feet of Warner that was platted, that does not prevent a major street going through there at any time. The main reason that the developer asked for the vacation of that 30 feet was that that's a property line between two owners. And it's much preferable to have the back of lots touching each other along a possession line. And so that's what started this whole thing. And the road to the north, that's like an offset of 120 feet to the north of this Warner Avenue that will be vacated, that could potentially go on through because they will be dedicating all the way to their west property line. So that's a potential. The other potential is to the south. If that parcel of Howard property is developed similar to what Canyon Crest is, you have another opportunity to go toward the west and to connect across. In fact, the further south you go with that connection, the less deep that canyon becomes. So this doesn't, just because you vacate Warner, doesn't preclude a road going across at some point.
So you were talking about the road to the north. So the developers that's not going to be a loop or a dead end or a loop that ultimately there'll be homes where the road could punch through. They're going to dedicate to the line with the possibility of connecting.
Exactly, and that was the deal that was made. If you remember,
Right.
Mr. Rogers it was kind of a surprise for us. Mr. Moore came forth at the meeting and said he had those access issues, and that was a deal that they worked out, was that, I believe it's called Pioneer Drive. I'm not sure of the name of the street, but it will go all the way through to the west property line of Canyon Crest, which would enable a connection across.
Because with the new development on Warner between 15th and 16th and those additional streets being put in, it's conceivable someday that those two subdivisions could connect.
It's
Again,
conceivable, but like you say, where there's a will, there's a way, but there also has to be a lot of money
I
there
don't
also.
disagree there. I don't disagree.
For that connection, yeah. So I guess all I'm trying to say is that if you vacate that portion of Warner Warner Avenue. What you're really doing is helping the development of both of those parcels and not really precluding a connection across at some time in the future.
Okay, thank you.
We all clear on that? Okay. Further questions for Mr. Hayers? Okay. So we have a motion and a second. All those in favor of approving Resolution 2015-30, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries 7-0. Well, that concludes our active agenda. We'll move on to unfinished and new business. City Councilor comments. Do we have any this evening? Councilor Maldonado.
I just, first off, would like to talk about having the library gala last weekend. I think they raised over $20,000. It was a great event. It was nice to see everybody there that attended. Nice to see you there as well, Mr. Mayor. Also, I missed out on the boat earlier this afternoon on thanking all of them for being there today as the liaison to the library board. I felt like I should have said thank you, so thank you to all the Library Foundation members that were there. And as we move forward in this budget season, I would also like to, just have us remember that I know every council wants to have a legacy of something they're doing. I'd love for ours to be Community Park, but I think we have a duty in finishing the library and completing what's already been done. And I think we are super lucky to have the Library Foundation. Because without the Library Foundation, we would have been pouring all these millions of dollars in on our own. And so I think we got into a very nice circumstance, very lucky, and I think we need to finish what we started and remember that as we move forward in this budget season. So, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Other comments? Yeah, I've got a couple. Friday, I think Councilor Randall and I will be heading out to Lapway. Our congressional delegation is going to be in town. I'm not sure if this is the final resolution or not, but over the transfer of water rights from Craig Mountain through the Bureau of Reclamation, the tribe, City of Lewiston, Nez Perce County. It's a very big multi-agency collaborative event that's been taking place for many years, and it's kind of coming down to the crunch time. The new well that Lloyd put in is not quite producing yet, but they do have the water, and we'll be finishing that up shortly. That's the new well up at 10th and Ripon, for those of you that haven't seen that. Pretty much limitless amounts of water out of that one, but there will be 3 or 4 more wells in that field that'll ensure us with not only irrigation water for the future, but fire protection water, which is sorely needed up there in the orchards. So it's not a total transfer of the water right, but there will be more water going down Sweetwater Creek as a result of this. Other than that, Dogwood Festival. I was invited to go down and judge vehicles at the Dogwood Festival. There were plenty of cars at the show and shine. It was well attended. Pretty nice day. It did start sprinkling a little bit there, but I guess you can expect that along with the Stoughton County Fair. It always seems to rain, but no, a lot of folks at Art of the Emblems and at the show and shine. So it was looked like everybody was having fun. And final comment, just to back up what Councilor Maldonado was saying about the Library Foundation. We are unique here in this town that the amount of money that a private foundation raised to get accomplished what we have for right now is really, it is unprecedented in the state. So I give them a lot of credit, and I think when we originally decided to partner up with them, that was a good thing. And I guess we'll see how it shakes out in the budget session. I mean, the library, it would be very nice to have that finished off. But when I keep looking at the FAA telling us, even though they're going to give us 70% of the money for a fire station, we still have to come up with 30%, and it's not going to be cheap. And that is going to be required, or we're not going to have fire protection at the airport, which ultimately could affect their services. So that's something to think about as we go forward in the budget session. So, Mr. Bennett, City Manager comments.
Yeah, a couple of things. One, just to comment again, as you started, Mayor, on the Dogwood Festival, the Seaport River Run. Extremely successful this year, over 1,300 runners, 200 more than last year, one of the largest turnouts ever. And special thanks to Councilor Collins and the LCSC track team for providing the chips for timers for the more serious runners there. I not being one of them, but I did do the 5K and finish the race, and it was a very good experience. And I think it's going to just grow in its attractiveness to people. A lot of people are using it now as sort of a precursor for the Bloomsday race coming up next week in Spokane. So, and the weather was great for racing because it was cool and the temperatures worked really well for everybody. Secondly, though, we're about ready to start next month our labor negotiations with the Idaho Association of Firefighters, the International Association of Firefighters, local here. And we'll be starting around the middle of May. I'll get you the exact date. An issue that came to mind, though, is that the new law that was just passed by the state legislature takes effect on July 1. This is the one that throws open all of the labor negotiations to public attendance, opens them up to public to observe the negotiations. I'd like you to think about that as to whether or not you would want to ask that, despite the fact that the negotiation law doesn't take place till July 1, that we use it in this particular negotiation. So, one option is to wait until July 1st to start the negotiations, because then the law would definitely be in effect. Or another option is to see if the union would be agreeable to holding the negotiations under those rules or not. So I just wanted to give you the option, ask you to think about that, and let me know what you think about doing that, because I think that because the law has been passed, there's an expectation on the part of the public that it's going to be observed. So any thoughts now or later would be appreciated.
And these meetings would be properly noticed in the paper and...
Right, they would have to be noticed in the paper and on the website and posted so that people could attend, not participate.
Correct.
But attend and observe, what goes on.
Okay. Any thoughts, Councilor Daniel?
I'd be for either one of those options. If the union is agreeable to having it open and starting next month, then great. Or if we could wait until July until the law takes place, and so.
Yeah. Well, I'll certainly bring the issue up, with them right away and see what people think about that. I just think, in fairness, that might be the best way to go.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor,
Councilor Randall.
it might be where you could, both parties could give their particular agendas, exchange agendas the month before. That gives both parties a chance to review the agendas and then have the first actual negotiations when the law takes effect.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we will have to have a meeting to establish the ground rules for how the negotiation will go, such as, how many meetings will new ideas be allowed to be introduced into the process, and then when will that period end, and we would begin tentatively approving different sections and articles of the actual collective bargaining agreement based on the proposals exchanged by the city and the IAFF. So I think that's what Councilor Randall's referring to, is we could have an introductory meeting and then schedule a second meeting where we'd agree that that's the way it would work. Because at some point, we're going to reach that threshold. And so we're going to cross that July 1 date before the negotiations are done. So why not just do it now?
Sure.
Yeah.
Councilor Blakey.
At Friday's AIC meeting, that was one of the topics of discussion, and they, again, made sure to put emphasis on two areas. One is you can't participate. You can observe, but you're not allowed to participate.
Right.
And when the law goes into effect, there are opportunities still to have closed-door negotiations. And there are opportunities to do negotiations behind closed doors still.
Right, and that would be at the point where basically an agreement in principle has been reached by both sides, and then the council can go into executive session to decide whether or not to accept the agreement as proposed. That's part of that. It's
Yeah.
not to deliberate. It's not to have separate negotiations behind closed doors with the other party. It's to discuss the agreement that has been, come to as to whether or not the council can accept that or not, or wants to go back with additional changes or anything like that. Yeah. It's going to affect things differently than it has in the past, because the traditional way of doing it was the two sides hammered it out, and they took it to their respective boards, and in our case, the council, and the council would review that in executive session, and then, subsequently would approve the agreement. If there was a meeting of the minds and they could accept all the things that were in the agreement. Now it's changed a little bit, so especially with this extra component thrown in with the opening negotiations up to the public. So I don't know if it's going to necessarily delay the process at all, but I think it will certainly make it more transparent and make people explain their positions. Not a bad thing. So that's all I had.
Okay. Anything else? Advisory Board and Commission appointments, do we have any this evening? Work session agenda topics. I know we made a couple changes for our budget. Is there anything else we're going to do for next Monday?
We'll just
Discuss
bring that one item to you.
SCBA's and
Right. And the
communication tower.
right, the leftover, if you will, or the reduction in Percy expenditures for this year.
Okay. Okay. Anything else?
That's it.
Okay, well, I guess I'll entertain a motion to go into executive session concerning records exempt from disclosure under Idaho Code Section 67-2345, paren 1, paren D.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. All those in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries 7-0. We take a 3-minute break.
Oh, perfect. I hear.